Hi there, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Jumpstart Your GenAI Journey with Now Assist for Creator. Thank you all for joining. I really hope you enjoyed today's session. We've got a lot of awesome content to share, so let's dive right in. Before we do, a quick introduction here. My name's Tom Freeman. I'm a director of outbound product management here at ServiceNow, and I focus both on App Engine and our generative AI solutions in the Now Assist for Creator portfolio. So all our Now Assist offerings for developers, admins, and power users. I'm joined by my colleague, Rob Ninnes, another outbound product manager with a particular focus on Now Assist for Creator. So in today's session, what we want to do is provide you a quick introduction, a quick kind of overview of the state of generative AI as ServiceNow perceives it, a little bit of a deep dive into how ServiceNow approaches generative AI, and then we want to spend a majority of today's session really honing in on Now Assist for Creator. So as I mentioned before, Now Assist for Creator is our suite of solutions that empower admins, developers, and power users with the tools necessary to harness generative AI to build on the ServiceNow platform. This is going to give you the opportunity to create net new applications even faster than ever using a fusion of generative AI and low code. But it's also going to give you an opportunity to leverage the tools you already know and love with a new type of generative AI interaction to help you extend out-of-the-box apps. So both custom apps and app extensions, Now Assist for Creator has a wide range of uses. So the goal here is to not just tell you about the new capabilities, both the capabilities we've actually had out for a year now and those that are just releasing later this week, but we want to show you them and give you an idea of how they can make a meaningful impact in your business. So after we go through a quick opening, we're going to go through each of the skills that we have in our portfolio. And as of our Xanadu Store 2 release later this week on November 7th, we're going to have 8 unique skills for you to take advantage of all in one package. So we're going to go through each skill, tell you a little bit about what it does, how it's changed since the initial release of that capability, and then give you some ideas on how it can make an impact in your day-to-day. Now, before we do, let's talk a little bit about the state of generative AI in the industry. Now, it's no surprise, and it's really just no secret that Gen AI has truly changed the game. It's also kind of crazy to think that it's already been 2 years since the introduction of ChatGPT. That was November 2022 when generative AI first hit the scene.
2 years.
And yeah, it's no longer a novelty. It's no longer something that's sitting in home labs or an experiment in a developer's sandbox at an organization. Generative AI is in the wild, it's in production, it's making meaningful impact in the lives of organizations on a day-to-day basis. And this little quote from the Harvard Business Review really says it best here, is that generative AI will drive and distinguish how brands will compete. It is no longer something that is a curiosity. This is now something that you need to address. It needs to be acknowledged and tackled head on, just like any other fundamental shift in the IT landscape or in the business landscape in general, just like the introduction or the popularization of infrastructure as a service. And so at ServiceNow, we see impact being driven in 3 major ways outlined here. First and foremost, we are a workflow company. We make the world of work better for people. And we see generative AI having a huge impact in the way in which you can incorporate Gen AI into your processes to unlock productivity. But importantly, as a human-centric company, we also see Gen AI as providing a huge range of opportunities for the end user experience, whether that's an employee of your organization or the customers that you serve. And lastly, and possibly most pertinent to the Now Assist for Creator portfolio, is the ability for you to realize value fast, to go from idea or inspiration to working automation or working application. That's really our goal. We want to empower you with that opportunity to leverage Gen AI in a unique capacity that goes beyond some of the general perceptions of what generative AI can do today. Now, because it's been 2 years, there have been a lot of players in the scene and a lot of analysts and research groups providing insight as to the true value being provided by generative AI. So we've got a couple of interesting stats here. First of which, from Boston Consulting Group, they've found that organizations are able to yield 30 to 50% efficiency gains by reshaping their processes using generative AI. So incorporating some form of generative AI decision-making or generative AI automation into their processes Really fantastic way to unlock time savings, productivity savings. The organization at McKinsey, the subsidiary called Quantum Black, which focuses on AI research, found that there's a massive surface area of opportunity here. 60 to 70% of work activities can be automated using generative AI. And this is a really exciting possibility. This doesn't mean 60 to 70% of people can be replaced by generative AI. It means that the mundane or simple tasks that are right for generative AI can be kind of moved out of the way, unlocking the human potential that is better suited for things like creative tasks or more complex problem solving. And then lastly, IDC has identified that this could be potentially one of the best bang for the buck technologies that we've seen in some time, yielding a potential 3.5x cost savings, 3.5x return on AI investment for every dollar spent. So huge opportunity to drive meaningful change in your organization, a massive surface area with which you can really approach this opportunity, and then a tangible ROI that's been demonstrated by independent research groups. But what's important to understand is that your implementation of generative AI is only as good as the platform that it's built upon. At ServiceNow, we've been a workflow company since the beginning, really. And that is what makes the fundamental difference in the way in which we're able to take advantage of generative AI. Take, for example, chat summarization or text summarization. It's a really interesting and great time saver, interesting capability and a great time saver. But without an ability to go from the summarization to some form of insight, or to go from a text summarization to action or some sort of meaningful like automation trigger, there's still value left on the table. And that's the type of value that ServiceNow is most focused on. It's going beyond the raw generation and doing something about it, taking some action, driving some automation, creating something meaningful beyond just a quick summarization or a raw, like low-level generation of some sort of component. And this approach is weaved consistently into our AI strategy, which we've had in place for many years before the advent of generative AI. And that technology is built on our single data platform. So we've designed our generative AI solutions to show up in a very cohesive fashion so that you can leverage the power of generative AI in the tools that you already use on a day-to-day basis. We don't have a bolt-on solution that requires you to kind of work with external systems or manage those sort of external LLMs. We make it all very seamless for you to take advantage of generative AI, all on the single data platform so that you can use it in the context of your work. We also have a massive focus on being a trusted AI provider. And so our goal here is to give you the confidence that just like your existing ServiceNow environment, so too our generative AI capabilities can be used even in the most mission-critical or highly sensitive circumstances. So you can take advantage of these capabilities across any industry, any degree of criticality, whether that's an extension of an out-of-the-box ServiceNow application or a custom application designed to meet your needs. And lastly, I've already kind of gone into this point a great deal. We are a system of action, system of orchestration. And so our whole goal is to take generative AI to the next level and provide you a way to meaningfully harness the output of generative AI to do something meaningful, to do something high impact, to move the needle within your organization. So to dive a little bit deeper here, just an introduction to the portfolio. You probably have seen it and heard about it quite a bit at this point. Now Assist. Now Assist is our umbrella term that we use for all of our different generative AI offerings, of which there are now dozens and dozens. Continues to grow every release. Today, we're going to focus not on some of the more common ones that you've seen around like resolution note summarization, case summarization, search Q&A. All of those are phenomenal capabilities. But today, we're going to dive deep into Now Assist for Creator and look at all those capabilities that allow you to unlock potential for your developers, admins, and your power users. So before we get specifically into the capabilities, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Rob, to give you an idea of what generative AI really means at ServiceNow, and kind of just how it works at a high level. Rob?
Thanks, Tom. So, as Tom mentioned, uh, how does generative AI work at ServiceNow? And more specifically, how do we incorporate all of those elements of data, actionability, and the LLM to produce something meaningful? So the ServiceNow platform has a wealth of data on it. It's not just the text and structured data stored in records that can be used for skills such as summarization, but also the configuration and metadata, which describes how the platform behaves. For example, the database schema. All of this information can be used as a source of material for an LLM as an input. And we take that input data from the platform and we combine it with a specifically designed prompt layering and persona crafting to give generative AI a specific task to perform. And the output of that transformation, or in the case of a conversation with Now Assist, might be multiple passes and multiple transformations, is then turned into a new piece of text or a flow or a piece of code. And that's all designed to automate complex tasks that typically require specific language skills or creativity that generative AI is now known for. At ServiceNow, we don't just rely on a commercial partnership with a single vendor. We select the right LLM for the skill, which in some cases means training our own model. We're continually testing new innovations in the space to ensure that our skills are fast, secure, and accurate. So that's just a brief overview of how ServiceNow does generative AI. Okay, let's get more specific now and start talking about Now Assist for Creator. In my experience, nobody ever takes our products and uses them out of the box, and that's okay. The way you run your business is unique, and while following best practice can get you a lot of standardization and efficiency, it doesn't always address the nuance and your differentiation in the market. I think Tom mentioned that quote where AI will help your business stand out from the crowd. And that's why all of our customers are building on the ServiceNow platform. They're either extending out of the box or building custom workflows and applications. We all need more efficient and productive development tools to help us build core platform components, such as flows, scripts, and apps. And it's not just developers that'll benefit from generative AI tooling. People all across the spectrum of skill, experience, and concern are looking to generative AI to help them do more every day. Much of the concern around the proliferation of generative AI, however, is that it's breaking up teams by replacing people with computers. We actually see the opposite of that happening at ServiceNow. ServiceNow's generative AI is bringing development teams closer to the business by building bridges of understanding between the role of the developer and the stakeholder, and oftentimes blurring those roles altogether. Generative AI is increasing participation in all aspects of development, which is fueling the adoption of low-code development tools by business users. Teams will have a better understanding of requirements, a better experience, and a deeper understanding of the platform and faster time to MVP. Tom and I both work really hard bringing new development experiences to market. Our App Engine team builds products that enable the no, low, pro coder, and citizen developer to intuitively build apps and implement and extend workflows on the platform. They use form-based code, workflow robot, and now AI-based experiences. We're leveraging the power of generative AI to make your developers more productive in the same way we did with low code. So, what are these AI-based experiences? Well, today we have 6 main skills: app generation, flow, playbook, code, catalog, and data visualization generation. 2 new skills, experience and spoke generation, will be launching this week on the 7th. And in the not too distant future, we'll be expanding into RPA and test generation, along with app summarization. So that's enough of an overview on Now Assist for Creator. Let's now show you some of those skills in action. I'm going to hand off to Tom to get us started.
Alrighty, so we want to make this very practical. So our goal here isn't just to kind of show you the wow factor and some of the demos, but to give you an idea of how the actual plugin works and how you can get started using it really quickly. That's our whole goal here, is to really help you jumpstart things here and get on track and start leveraging these capabilities quickly. So we've got some real practical hands-on slides for you. So Now Assist for Creator is one of our Now Assist offerings. These are a collection of capabilities specifically designed for certain functions within an organization. This one, as we've said many times, all around devs, admins, and power users. And all those skills you just saw a moment ago, all of these awesome skills are all packaged within the same plugin to make it really simple for you to install. So from the ServiceNow store or from within the application manager, after you're provisioned from or entitled from the ServiceNow store, the application manager will have a single package that you can see here, Now Assist for Creator. You install it by simply installing the plugin. We handle all the underlying dependencies for you, giving you a very simple way to upgrade and initially install the Now Assist for Creator offering. Once you are successfully installed, just like that right there, we give you the flexibility to take advantage of the right skills for your teams. So you'll see here within the Now Assist admin console, all of the different Now Assist skills for Creator. You'll notice on the left-hand side here, we've got the technology, customer, and employee area. Keep an eye on that area as we come to the Xanadu Store 2 release, as I mentioned, November 7th, later this week. You're going to see a pretty large expansion to those capabilities with an included hierarchy to make it easier than ever to find the right skills for your particular function. But in the case of Now Assist for Creator, you'll see all the different styles of skills we have outlined here, the groupings or the families of skills. So data visualization generation, for example, is it is the first analytics generation skill. We have two flow skills. We have flow generation and flow recommendations. And so earlier when Rob said we have 6 skills, that's referring to these kind of supersets of skills. It's not even counting some of the helper skills we have, like flow recommendations and playbook recommendations. But regardless, the way in which we've kind of modularized these skills allow you to incrementally and really tactfully adopt these capabilities or experiment with them. And it also allows you to deploy the right skills for your particular instance type. So I point out analytics generation here because analytics generation is one of our first skills that is really designed to be used in production. Obviously, your production instance is where all the real meaningful data, all the real meaningful insight is going to be unlocked. And so in that capacity, it makes sense to take advantage of this GenAI skill there in prod. But you probably don't want to have something like app generation available in production. So in that case, you can just click into analytics generation using this view details button. And then from there, it's as easy as clicking turn on. Very few of the Now Assist for Creator capabilities require underlying configuration. You may have gone through the process of configuring or getting started with some of the other skills we have. While they are streamlined and pretty easy as well, the Now Assist for Creator capabilities are really the simplest to start with. You really just turn them on, and at that point, they're activated, and they'll show up anywhere that the skill pertains to. So in the case of analytics generation, it's a conversational skill, so you'll see it in the Now Assist panel. But they'll also be gated by our role-based access control. So the Now Assist for Creator capabilities are going to show up in the places that your team or that you already leverage on a day-to-day basis. You're going to see them when you're building flows. You're going to see it when you're building playbooks or writing code. You're going to see it when you go to maybe build a new application. But you're only going to get the generative AI front end, that Now Assist for Creator front end, if you have that appropriate role. The role is now.assist.creator. And that single role, which you can apply to your dev group or whomever, that role is going to give you access to the entire suite of skills that are activated on your instance. And the way in which this is licensed, we won't go into license today too much as well, but the way in which it's licensed is also extremely simple and designed to be flexible in a way that does not bind your purchase to a particular instance. Rather, it's at an account level. So you can use this in your sandbox environment, in your dev environment, in your production environments, without having to deal with tricky licensing nuance. Essentially, you'll be able to leverage your same pool of assists across any instance type, as so long as the individual has the right role and skills are installed and activated, you'll be able to take advantage of Now Assist for Creator. So let's get right into it. Let's put yourself in the shoes of an individual that has just gone through this process. You've installed the plugin, you've activated all the skills, and now you want to take a tour through the Now Assist for Creator domain and take a look at everything we have to offer. Let's do that together. So we're going to split it up. I'll give you the first 4, and then Rob will give you the remaining 2 that we have GA'd today. And then Rob is going to give you a sneak peek at what you're going to see later this week. So we're going to start with one of the most popular capabilities, one of the oldest capabilities that we have on the ServiceNow platform, code generation. Now today, code generation offers 2 main capabilities. It allows you to generate new code using this little modal that you see here, a little pop-up box that floats in front of the script box. And it also allows you to autocomplete code. So if you have a conditional or maybe a switch, you can just use Now Assist to automatically complete that piece of code. Really great way for you to fast track the creation of net new code, great way to add on to existing scripts, and really just an awesome opportunity to keep your development flow intact without having to navigate to another tab to take a look at like the ServiceNow community or anything else. I mean, we know you have options when it comes to code generation, and so our goal is to provide you the best quality ServiceNow code generation available on the market. So you still can, of course, open up another tab and take advantage of another code generation offering. But I think what you'll find as you compare these services is that when you're working with the Glide API or working in the context of ServiceNow specific functions, there's really nothing out there that's going to be as capable as ServiceNow's code generation capability. And the reason is our custom trained LLM, the Now LLM. So we've specifically trained code generation on ServiceNow datasets, our own large datasets inside, and anonymized customer datasets that have agreed to participate in the program. And that gives us the amount of accuracy and adherence to best practices that you'd expect from a capability like this. Now, code generation is going to show up in any script box on the ServiceNow platform, whether that's an old Monaco-based editor or a new React-based editor like what you'll find in Action Designer. You'll have the option to take advantage of code generation where you need it, where you already use it today. And as I mentioned before, really, really great opportunity for existing developers, maybe experienced developers to just write code faster, maybe double check that they've got the syntax right on a particular API reference. But it's also an awesome opportunity for new users to unlock the power that custom scripting can bring to the table. So whether they need to write a quick UI policy or a business rule, or whether they want to take a crack at developing a custom spoke, custom low-code integration connector, and they need a little bit of help on that script step, in either capacity, they can take advantage of code generation to help them get to the finish line. Now, coming in Xanadu, we have some exciting new capabilities. This is a really big release for code generation. We're bringing to market our code edit capabilities. That means you're going to finally be able to refactor code using code generation on the ServiceNow platform. The couple main opportunities here, or main capabilities that come with this kind of code edit update is first and foremost the ability to highlight some text and then ask for some form of refactoring. So you can say something like, make my variable names more meaningful, or something along those lines, or maybe add validation of emails to this code, or something like that. Those sort of refactoring capabilities are within the scope of the code edit function that's coming out later this week. You can also use this capability to add comments to your code. So you can highlight a whole chunk of code and say, add comments to this code, and you'll see it all commented nicely for you. So it can really help if you've got maybe a backlog of uncommented scripts that you've been working on, or maybe you've got that monster script include that's just built up and kind of gotten out of control over the years within your instances that maybe you inherited, you can go back through and take advantage of Now Assist to really comment it and maybe even refactor and improve it. So let's take a quick look at as to what this looks like in action. So I'm going to navigate here to the fan out tasks activity. This is a business rule we have. And all you need to do is go to the advanced tab, right click, and take advantage of code with Now Assist. You can see here I want to get activity status. In green, it will highlight the recommendation. And all I need to do is quickly say accept. And I'm going to have some brand new code provided for me by code generation. So pretty straightforward capability, something that is pretty common one across a number of different vendors out in the market today. But it is an important capability for us to offer, and one that we continually strive to improve to make sure you're getting the best quality output and the most relevant results that are adherent to ServiceNow best practice. So this is something that you may see kind of transparent improvements around over time, because we are able to improve the backend model without actually having to publish store updates. But then we also are improving the end user experience and just the capabilities of the code generation solution using those plugin updates. Again, all available by the single plugin for Now Assist for Creator. So next up, we're going to take a look at flow generation. Probably my favorite capability at this point in time because of what we're releasing later this week. So right now, flow generation gives you a fantastic starting point. It started with just a kind of a one-shot prompt where you would be able to provide a description of some automation, and then it would bring to life a really great starting point for a potential automation flow. Then a couple releases back, we introduced the ability to preview that flow and reprompt. And so that was quite helpful in terms of providing the ability to see what flow is going to be generated before you actually create that new object within your instance. Then back in August, we released this annotation capability. So you can see underneath each of these actions on my flow image here, we have an indication that, every day at midnight, find all the newly created problem records and so on. Those annotations allow you to very explicitly understand how your prompt was transformed into ServiceNow constructs, in this case, into a flow with the trigger and the actions. So using that, you can really really improve your ability to prompt well and understand exactly how the Now LLM thinks under the hood. Because once again, this is using our proprietary Now LLM. Now, what we're providing in the next release coming up this week is a concept we call flow hydration. This means that you're actually going to see your flow populated with real working data pills. So the flow that is generated by the GenAI output is going to be something that is pretty close to being ready to put into production, depending on the complexity of the flow, of course. So it's going to go through, provide you the same starting point. So it'll give you that kind of skeleton that you'll see there, or what we call an outline. And then it's going to go back through the flow and make an LLM call per action to actually populate that flow with the relevant action details. So in this case on the screen, the trigger will understand every day at midnight. So it'll go through, make a call, and populate that correctly. That's a pretty simple one that could actually already be done previously. But then look up records here where we want to see find all, you'll see in the prompt box on the left-hand side of the screen, we want to find all newly created problem records. At that point in the flow, that action number 1, it's actually going to populate with the correct table with the correct conditionals. So you don't even need to tweak that particular action. Now the next line, for each, where we iterate over items, that is going to be able to reference the result of action number 1. So you're going to be able to take advantage of the data pills coming from step 1. This is what we've all been waiting for. This is the kind of I would call it the end game, because it's kind of hard to know what the real end game of GenAI is at this point. But this is the point where I feel like flow generation is really providing some magic moments. So to really see that magic moment, we're going to take a look at a demo in just a second. But I also want to call out the fact that we have hashtagging coming out in our November 7th release as well. So you'll notice that little indication right below the prompt box that says enter hash if you want to find and reference a specific table. This is super useful if you have both tables that have redundant table names, or if you've got multiple tables on the platform with the same display name, like user could be a reference to 5 or 6 different tables on the platform. It's also super useful when you want to ensure that your generated output is accurate the first time, especially as it pertains to custom applications. So if you know the exact name, and it functions based on display name, so keep that in mind. But if you know the exact display name of your table, you can press the pound there or the hash key, and it will provide you a little drop down of all the options. You can pick the exact option you want, and in that capacity, you'll ensure that that specific table is referenced in your generated flow. So let's take a look at flow generation in action here. Alrighty, so just like our other capabilities, it's going to show up naturally where you already perform work. So we're going to create a new flow, and you'll see we have the ability to build with Now Assist. We're going to do a problem triage flow here. I'm just going to paste in an existing prompt. And we're first going to see here that flow outline created for us. So we're providing even more transparency into the process. You can see all of the new animations and the indications that we have available now. So the outline is created. We're now going to see the little spinning wheel here go through each of the different actions and provide us a result for each of our different pieces of automation. So it's going to use the data pill from action number 1. It's going to use the records that we have from action number 2 to perform an if conditional. It's going to update the problem record with the exact details that we requested, that is to assign them to the level 1 triage group and so on. So if we save and edit the flow, we can see this in more detail. We can see the daily trigger is set to appropriately run at midnight. We can see that lookup problem records has the correct conditional and references the right table. We can see that that particular detail is referenced in our iteration. But in some cases, like you'll see here with this if conditional, we will need to go in and just kind of finish it off. And so in this case, we're using dot walking, and we're going to provide this particular data pill assignment. Now, this is just the perfect fusion of our generative AI capabilities with our low code options. And just like that, we have ourselves a nearly complete piece of automation. You can see action 4 and action 5 are almost done. We maybe need to populate a notification here. But aside from that, all the other portions of my automation were successfully populated by the LLM. So we really see this one changing the game as you build out processes and work to take advantage of flows in a greater capacity. Next up, a kind of similar skill, playbook generation. Now, playbook generation is the next level up. If you think about the flows being our atomic unit of automation, playbook generation is the molecules. This is the way in which you can orchestrate processes of any type, short-running processes that maybe take 1 afternoon or a week, all the way to long-running processes that can span months or even years. And so playbook generation here is an awesome capability that now has a generative AI front end as well. This is done in a very similar capacity. You have a prompt box within which you can outline your desired process automation, and then we provide you a preview of that automation. That's the capacity of the skill today. It gives you an awesome starting point that can handle complex use cases across a variety of different industries. The limitation, as it stands GA'd today, is that it provides you placeholder activities. So just like we saw with the flow generation in the earlier release, it gives you a good starting point. But now with the November release, these are going to be populated with out-of-the-box activities. So you'll actually get working automation that'll help you get closer to the end goal, which is working process orchestration. We also have some new capabilities that are really exciting that are going to allow you to build a playbook from an image. So for those of you out there that went to Knowledge last year, you probably saw this one on the big stage. So you're going to be able to upload an image to our Playbooks technology. You're going to be able to provide a little bit of context as well, in addition to the image, maybe asking the playbook generation capability to add a new stage or add some particular actions to the process that you've already outlined via an image. And you'll be able to generate a playbook from that starting point. This is just a glimpse at the high-level capability. There is also playbook recommendations, which I don't have a chance to show you today. That's a generative AI way to build out your placeholder activities. So those little puzzle pieces you see on the right-hand side there, those are all placeholders. There will be, if you click on those, a little sparkle icon, which will allow you to get an intelligent recommended action using generative AI. So even if you have just the placeholder starting points, you'll be able to bring those to life and build those into working automation pretty easily with the help of that recommendation technology. Many of you are probably already familiar as well that we have that same recommendation technology for flows as well, similarly called flow recommendations. So it's kind of the next best action based on the context of your automation. Now let's take a look at playbook generation and see what it looks like in real life. So once again, we're in Workflow Studio. We're going to go ahead and open up a new playbook. With that correct role, we're going to have the ability to create a new playbook with Now Assist. And in this case, we're just going to create an onboarding playbook. Don't mind me creating this in global, and don't mind the use case. We just want something simple to illustrate the technology. And so you can see here, I can simply write out the stages. Maybe this came from an email. Maybe this came from an existing process documentation that we have. Maybe it just came from a live conversation. Either way, you get the starting point to your automation. You can also go through and reprompt. So you can see here, I have an additional step I want to incorporate. After Workday onboarding complete, send an email confirmation to the new hire and the new hiring manager. Once I am satisfied with this automation, I can open it up within the Playbooks tool and begin building it out. So this is a glimpse at how Playbooks work as a GA technology today. Stay tuned in just a few days for the image to playbook capability and also for the population of out-of-the-box activities. It's going to function in a very similar capacity to what you saw with flow generation. After the outline is created, it's going to go through bit by bit, activity by activity, and populate what it can using individual calls to our LLM. So for now, it'll be out-of-the-box activities. Coming very soon, we're going to provide even more contextual awareness with improved RAG capabilities that'll be able to leverage your own custom activities as well. But for now, it's just out-of-the-box activities. So let's take things up even another level still and talk about application generation. So flows and playbooks are often deployed in the context of a scoped application or in the context of an existing out-of-the-box application. But many customers out there, many organizations, hopefully your organizations, take advantage of the ability to create custom apps on the ServiceNow platform. So Now Assist Creator is awesome for people that even just take advantage of the fundamental ServiceNow tech, off-the-shelf tech, like ITSM, but it's even more powerful for folks like App Engine customers that take advantage of the ability to create custom apps. And that's due in large part to the automation capabilities you saw a moment ago, and importantly, this app generation feature we have as well. This gives you a conversational interface to help you build out an application, sort of like having a handy little ServiceNow assistant in your back pocket. So this is going to help you think through the way in which a professional ServiceNow developer would build an app, starting with the data, thinking through what kind of questions might be asked in terms of the end user experience, helping you build out things like a record producer, and then automatically inferring the type of roles that might be useful, are all within the scope of application generation today. So it's conversational, as you can see on the right-hand side. The Now Assist panel gives you the opportunity to create a new app. And then coming in this November release, we finally have the ability to update an existing app as well. Now, this is just going to allow you to update custom applications. Not yet, we don't yet have the ability to update out-of-the-box ServiceNow apps, but it's still a phenomenal enhancement, in addition to some of the other cool enhancements we have in the November release. One of the most highly requested capabilities that's coming in November or later this week is the ability to extend existing ServiceNow tables as part of your data model that's deployed with your app generation process. We've also got this exciting new visual preview, which you're going to see in a couple moments as well. And then, like, not quite last, because there's more capabilities as well, but additionally, one of the most exciting enhancements is the incorporation into ServiceNow Studio. So ServiceNow Studio is our replacement for the legacy Studio, the old school builder that many of you probably know and love. And out of the box, ServiceNow Studio is going to provide complete parity with our legacy Studio offering. It's a perfect complement to our low-code tool like App Engine Studio and our no-code tool like Creator Studio. but it provides complete access to all underlying ServiceNow metadata, including metadata associated with out-of-the-box ServiceNow apps. So we don't have quite the time or the scope here to go over ServiceNow Studio in length, but what I want you to know is that ServiceNow Studio has been designed with generative AI in mind from the beginning. It has native support for the Now Assist panel and native support for many of the other generative AI capabilities that you've seen today. Flow generation, playbook generation, all supported natively within ServiceNow Studio at launch, of course, if you have the right roles. So let's keep things moving and take a little bit of a look at what app generation can bring to the table. So as I mentioned, it's a conversational interface that allows you to either create or update an application. So if I want to create an application, Now Assist for Creator is going to guide me through that process and ask me what it should do. What's the purpose of the app? So I can say here in this instance, I want to track internal shipping requests. So it'll continue to walk you through the process, ask questions until it gets to the point where it has enough detail to provide you a recommended application. In the same way that we provided visibility to the creation of flows and playbooks, we're trying to provide that same level of transparency here as well. So you saw it indicates what steps are being taken on the back end instead of just giving you a spinning wheel. Once the application is generated, you're going to get this lovely little visual preview on the left-hand side. So keep in mind, this is just a read-only preview for now, but we provide you the opportunity to make changes to your app via this conversational interface. So you can continue to talk to Now Assist, make changes to your data model, tweak the names of the roles, change the way in which your record producer is surfacing fields from your table, and so on, all with that conversational interface. Or if this preview is looking good and you're ready to start building this custom app, you can just say save and open app. It'll drop you right into ServiceNow Studio, and you can transition into the world of low code. So as I mentioned, it's really the great, or ServiceNow's wonderful potential here is the fusion of generative AI and low code. So it really gives you kind of the best of both worlds. So with that, and by the way, I see a hand raised. Thank you for that. Please feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat, and Rob and I will address those questions as we go along. So thank you so much for that the attention there for the first few skills. I'm going to turn it over to Rob now, and he's going to walk through the rest of the skills, including some of the new ones that are coming out later this week. So back over to you, Rob. I'll pass it on to the next one.
Thanks, Tom. So just to recap one of the questions we had, Eduardo asked, how about dev instances? Does using GenAI capabilities consume some license or cost, since it should be based on the token consumption? And that, yes, that's absolutely correct. So in ServiceNow, those tokens are called assists, or Now Assists, and they're consumed both on production and subprod. So not just Now Assist for Creator skills. If you're trying out any of your skills in your subprod instances before you turn them on in prod, they will also consume those assists that you have pooled. So it's pooled per account, and various different subscriptions will give you different buckets of assists to use. The majority of the Now Assist for Creator skills that we have, that we're showing you today, we recommend you only turn those on in its subprods because they are generating application metadata, which will be captured as changes. So we don't want you doing that in production. Okay, catalog generation. All right, so catalog items are probably one of the most created features on the ServiceNow platform. The digitization of services keeps, all of you guys and all of our platform owners and admins really, really, really busy. Catalog generation helps you get through that backlog to really burn down that that request list that that's sitting on your back shelf of all of those catalog items that you've been asked to create. It allows users to describe their needs for data collection. So you can tell Now Assist things like the data types, how the form should look, including what the fields, field types, any qualifiers and references, and interactivity, including like mandatoriness, and whether certain form elements should be displayed or not, depending on how you are filling out the form. So let's have a quick look at how catalog item generation works. So when you create a catalog item, you'll be asked if you want to use Now Assist. In this case, we're describing a request for a new laptop. Questions such as like what operating system, the hardware specification, delivery options, etc., are being written out, and whether some of the fields should be mandatory or not. Once generated, the item can be quickly previewed to check for accuracy. So we're using our catalog builder product here and integrating it deeply in there. And as you can see, Now Assist has built out all of those options. We've got choice list, radio buttons there, true, false, any type of field of data type you can think of and add to a catalog item, you can build with Now Assist. This takes the building of catalog items, down from maybe half an hour, a couple of hours, depending on the complexity, right down to minutes. Next slide. The last skill that we have GA at the moment is data visualization generation. This allows analysts to quickly turn their data queries into an interactive chart by simply having a conversation with Now Assist. So you'll see that this is another Now Assist panel skill, similar to the app generation skill that Tom showed previously. We often talk about data between people, between humans, using data sentences, such as the number of new incidents. We use terms in those sentences that describe the data query, any conditions that may be required, trending data, aggregation, so like average, etc., etc. And an LLM is a perfect tool to use to try to understand those data queries, those data sentences, and pull out those pieces of context from them. And what we've done with data visualization generation is train the LLM to understand, not only just understand those data sentences and pull out those pieces of context, but then to create a chart from that. So when you're having your conversation with Now Assist, you can include things such as the data source, the chart type, the aggregation, trending, grouping, etc. Some of the new features in Xanadu coming out next week is that we've increasing the chart type support. So we'll have more chart types supported, not just the basic, lists, columns, line charts, columns, and pie charts. Will allow users to have a multi-prompt conversational experience with Now Assist to be able to change that chart. So, for example, once the chart's been generated, we can ask Now Assist to make changes to it by simply typing out additional requirements for that chart through follow-up prompts as well. And then the ability to, excuse me, add those charts to multiple dashboards is being included as well. So let's have a look at data visualization generation. So in this example, we're launching into the create a data visualization skill directly. We are asking Now Assist to show a number of incidents with a grouping by assignment group. Once that's preview's been generated, we can view the details, and then we can add it to a dashboard. And if we need to make any further changes, launch directly into Viz Designer to make those changes. As I mentioned, new features coming out soon. You'll be able to make those changes directly in the Now Assist panel. So what have we got coming up this quarter, this week even? So our November Store 2 release, we're launching 2 new skills, experience generation and spoke generation. Every time we release a new skill, the Now Assist, the ROI that customers get from our Now Assist or Creator Pro Plus offerings just increases. We're making improvements to our existing skills all the time to make them more accurate, more productive, but we're also adding new skills every release. It's been about pretty much 12 months since we've had our first release of Now Assist for Creator, which only included back then code generation and flow generation. So that's 2 skills, and now we'll be up to 10 skills by the end of the year, and even more skills at the beginning of next year. So what is experience generation? Well, if anybody has ever tried to learn how to use UI Builder, you'll know that it's a very challenging development experience to master. Coming from a front-end development background, I love UI Builder in the way that it tries to structure user interfaces in a way that makes reusable components more accessible to people who've never built or never written HTML before. But as a power user, as a developer who understands, how to pass data back and forth between user interface components, it can be quite a frustrating experience in the way that you have to learn the nuances of the product. So Now Assist helps to kind of accelerate that learning by allowing users to use text-based prompts to generate starting UI experiences in UIB. So, excuse me. Just take a drink. So users will be able to ask Now Assist to generate pages that'll include things like a landing page, a filtered list, but a lot of those common use cases, which is like, okay, I've got a list of records now. How do I then make that interactive where I can click on that item in the list and open a records page, have all of those out of the box, save and update buttons work, all while wrapping that in a workspace that I can publish somewhere on my instance for my users. So in UIB, you'll directly have a new option when you create an experience to choose an AI-generated experience. And in this case, we're going to create a change request tracking experience. We've specified things like we want it to have tabbed navigation and to have a few other additional features like pie chart that can additionally filter and group data. So as you can see, we've generated the page, and it's taken context out of that prompt, such as navigation, the title, and the table change request is also being referenced here as well. Once we're done generating, we'll be put into UI Builder, where we can make changes or directly publish that experience. So in this case, it's generated us a homepage, a list page, and a record page, and created a URL path for us. We're going to have a look at the homepage just quickly to show you how Now Assist has wired up these user interface components. So we asked it to generate a pie chart to allow additional filtering and grouping on that list. So we're going to dive into that component and have a look at some of the events that Now Assist has wired up for us. So as we can see, we've got an on-click event here that is sending data parameters directly to our list to enable that grouping. If we open up the homepage, we can see that in action, where we've got a interactive chart that's been generated. And if we click on one of those slices, we'll filter our list. And clicking into one of those records will open up the details page where we can update that record, any of the fields, and have it have all of those components like UI, buttons, etc. work. And this is something that can take a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, prior knowledge to do in UI Builder.
And just a quick time check for you, Rob. We're running pretty short on time, so you'll need to fast track this quite a bit.
Okay, so our last skill is spoke generation. Very quickly, many software islands don't really exist. We have, when you build software, you always need to integrate it with something. Many pieces of software and platforms have structured APIs that allow you to connect your software with their software. Most of the time they'll have API specifications that detail how those APIs perform. Not all the time though. So there's quite a lot of software platforms out there that just have documentation around how their APIs work. So what we've done with spoke generation, which is a new skill launching this week, is that we're allowing you to directly copy that API documentation from a website, from a web page, and create an integration in ServiceNow. I'm going to show you directly how that works, and then we'll quickly wrap up. So here, if we publish a lot of spokes on the ServiceNow store. If we don't have one, you can create your own. So in this case, we're creating a spoke to integrate with the Dynatrace platform. You can see there we can create the action using an open API or Postman spec. But in this case, Dynatrace doesn't have either of those. So we're just going to go to their website and copy the documentation for this event from their website and paste it into our spoke generation text box. So you can see there we've got things like outlining the operations, the paths, any of the credentials required, and the outputs. And here, once we've hit generate, you can see Now Assist has taken those, created the, extracted things like the inputs that the spoke requires, the integration requires, and the output format as well. So things like the severity, display, description, etc., are all being taken from that prompt, from that documentation. I'm going to skip ahead this slide so we can wrap up in the time. So where do we see the future of generative AI taking us? We see it as a more collaborative, more context-aware, and more personalized development experience. People don't tend to work in isolation. We work best in teams where each of our individual strengths support one another. And our generative AI approach at ServiceNow mirrors that human behavior. Even more productivity is going to be unleashed when those individual AI skills that we talked about today, they're connected to each other and can be given an overarching goal. So imagine application generation, reaching out, creating flows, creating integrations, and orchestrating all of these individual skills. What are individual skills at the moment? The future of Now Assist for Creators is a development environment that deeply understands not only the functional requirements of an application or business process, but the developer's way of working, our way of working, the business objectives, the operating environment, competitive landscape, its people, and your customers. So our call to action today as we wrap up is to make sure you finalize your strategy for adopting generative AI. I know you're all working on one, and I hope that Now Assist is considered in it. This field's moving at an incredible pace, and the more time you delay adoption, the further behind you will be as the market and your competitors and the technology evolves. If you haven't already, adopt a low-code platform with generative AI built in and start forming teams to tackle your growing backlog of digital transformation. Low-code and generative AI is a productivity multiplier. Low-code interfaces are the perfect places for generative AI, and supporting low-code developers' creativity and helping them get unstuck by suggesting next steps. And finally, lean into generative AI-powered development like Now Assist for Creator to reduce the time it takes to get to an MVP and get a working prototype. Teams will love being able to show progress immediately by including generative AI-powered development in their planning, ideation, and requirements gathering sessions.